Welcome to Bounce Around Charleston. I'm Randolph Miller. Coming up in today's show, the College of Charleston, hosted by the School of Education, Health, and Human Performance, is offering free lecture series providing the history of desegregation in Charleston and to illustrate the need for continued educational reform in Charleston and across the country. We will have the Assistant Professor of Educational History at the College of Charleston, Jon Hale, to tell us more about it. And Gullah? The culture and language spoken by the Low Country's first black inhabitants still thrive today and in and around Charleston and Beaufort, South Carolina region. Michelle Lemon talks with the owner and operator of Gullah Tours, Mr. Alfonso Brown. And you don't want to miss a musical selection by the Plantation Singers. I have here standing with me Jon Hale.
Hello.
Assistant Educational Professor of the History Department at the College of Charleston.
Education Department, yes.
Yes. So now you're here today to talk about a series that you all have been, a lecture series that you've been doing about the desegregation of the Charleston County School District.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what that was all about.
Yes, well, we're holding this lecture series to commemorate the 50th anniversary of desegregation of Charleston County School District. Up until 50 years ago, you know, the schools were desegregated since the founding of schools in public schools in 1865. So we want to recognize those first children who desegregated public schools, and they were children, and they paid a heavy price and carried a heavy burden to desegregate these schools. So we want to commemorate this and to remember the sacrifice they paid, but also to pay attention to the struggle that's still going on today for a quality education as well.
So we have to lift up Brown versus the board.
Yes, and you know, looking at Charleston history specifically, we also have Briggs v. Elliott decision, which was one of the 5 cases that led to the Brown v. Board of Education decision. So there's a very rich history here in Charleston that we want to remember and commemorate.
Okay, I know that the lecture series is going on now, and we're here interviewing you today, but it will be ongoing.
Yes, with this series of lectures, we're bringing in 2 historians, Dr. James Anderson and Dr. Christopher Spann from the University of Illinois, to help generate a discussion about desegregation, but then also the continued struggle for quality education. And there will be an ongoing discussion with the Jubilee Project ongoing through the spring, and also there'll be another 50th commemoration of desegregation in September held at Claflin University and organized in partnership with Dr. Millicent Brown, who was one of the original students to desegregate Charleston schools.
So out of this, what are we expecting?
Well, we're expecting a series of excellent lectures that highlight this history, but also I hope to see a really engaged community asking the tough questions about the delivery of quality education. One, where is it? And also, more importantly, what can we do as a community to achieve this education for all of our students? Okay,
so we really want the community to get involved.
Yes. Scholars, community, and of course our students, educators as well. Yes, we like everyone involved because it takes a community to really realize the potential for quality education.
Okay, let's talk about the history right here in Charleston.
Yes.
How has Charleston been affected by all of this?
Yes, well, Charleston, you know, really sets a national example with Robert Small's writing into the state constitution the need for a public education.
Yes.
That begins after the Civil War, so it really starts there. But also, you know, you look at Johns Island, you have Septima Clark, Esau Jenkins, Bernice Robinson, you know, organizing really civil rights education to provide literacy, you know, to those who were disenfranchised to vote. So you see education for literacy and the political vote. But you also see community grassroots organizing around Briggs v. Elliott to desegregate schools, but also demanding really a fair education as well. So Charleston really sets a national example of the civil rights movement and its connection to education.
Okay, this lecture series won't only just take place in Charleston, but other places also?
Yes, well, specifically we've held lecture series at the College of Charleston, but the Penn Center this month is also holding a series of events too. And as I mentioned, this fall, Claflin University will be also holding events that commemorate this history.
Okay, so now who are some of your lecturers?
Yes, as I mentioned before, Dr. James Anderson, he's a historian, University of Illinois, and he'll be giving a lecture on affirmative action and currently the case that will be heard by the Supreme Court very soon. Dr. Christopher Spann, who recently has a book out on the education of slaves and freedmen in the state of Mississippi. He'll also be addressing not only this history, but also the legacy of the achievement gap, or the unfortunate legacy, really, of desegregation. And then, of course, we'll have the panel discussing a community discussion with those who actually desegregated the public schools.
So when the community comes in, will there be hands-on involvement at the lecture series?
Yes, well, hopefully participation in question and answer, but also, you know, there's Call Me Mr. program at College of Charleston, which seeks to recruit African-American male teachers to the field. Hopefully addressing, you know, at North Charleston, the Innovation Zone, what these schools can do to address not only the achievement gap, but also increasing the quality of education. And of course, it's at the College of Charleston, and to really see more of a connection with the College of Charleston, with North Charleston, for instance, in the public school system, to really, what can the college do to provide a stronger education at a K-12 level.
So it will actually also be addressing some of the problems that we're having in our school system as far as kids learning.
That's why the history of desegregation, this 50th anniversary, is a commemoration, not a celebration, because the ideals of Brown v. Board, integration and quality education, have not been realized. And we still have a lot of work to do to realize the potential of this decision.
Well, we want to thank you, and here's some events that people can definitely get involved with to know exactly what you're doing. Jon Hale, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you. Hey, coming up next, Gullah Tours explores the places, history, and stories that are relevant to the rich and varied contributions made by Black Charlestonians. Michelle Lemon talks with owner and operator of Gullah Tours, Alfonso Brown.